Hi everybody, Josiah here, also known as Chilling Silence. Welcome to another episode of DigiByte and Friends. I'm joined today by Mike Aldy, also known as DGB SoCal on Twitter. Mike, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in DigiByte, more specifically, DigiAssets?
Uh, sure. Yeah. Thanks so much, Josiah, for having me on. And I'm really excited to talk to you as well as your viewers about my experience using DigiAssets. Yeah, I've been involved with DigiByte for a couple years. It was one of the first coins I purchased when I first got into cryptocurrency, and then
Cool.
uh, later on, of course, as I did more research and decided to get more involved personally with the industry and the movement. I felt like DigiByte was a great project to be involved with, and so I've been just doing a lot of marketing, mainly type stuff. Like you mentioned on Twitter at DGB SoCal. Also,
Mm.
I have a much neglected YouTube channel called DigiByte SoCal. Try to do things to promote the project, and like all of us who work for DigiByte, we all have a double life, if you will, where we have day jobs.
And now
And
the truth.
yeah, so the other side of life for me, I work as an assistant editor and a media manager for Fox Entertainment, formerly known as Fox Broadcasting Company. I've been with Fox pretty much majority of my career. I've been very lucky, though. I've been able to bounce around through various positions, so I keep learning new things. And I've
Cool.
been, on the operations side, the creative, now in the technical. I'm sort of like media technical support for our department, and our department is the creative advertising department, formerly known as on-air promotion. So we are responsible for creating content that promotes the content on the network. So your primetime entertainment. So if you're watching an NFL game on Fox and they come out of a commercial break and they say, "Hey, tonight it's an all new Simpsons at 7 Central," and they show you a little clip from the show, our department is what's
So in the movie, that was you,
responsible.
right? In the Simpsons movie, where it scrolls along the bottom halfway through and goes, "Yes, we're now advertising."
Yeah, probably no. But yeah, so that's what we do,
Cool.
and it's been a fun ride for most for the most part, and I enjoy the work. It's challenging and interesting. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of technical stuff for the media. I make sure people have access to the parts, the source media that they're going to use to create the content that we're going to air on our network, or for Facebook ads, Twitter ads, uh, all that sort of stuff. So going back to how it all relates to DigiAssets, I was at a place. I think a lot of people in the DigiByte community were like, okay, DigiAssets, it's live, it's real, it's a thing. What can I do in my own day-to-day life, or what I do for a living, or my job, to incorporate this new technology?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I felt like The Masked Singer was coming back. Of course, it's was a really big hit for us in its first season. And for anyone who doesn't know the show, it's basically they take celebrities and conceal their identity, put on these ridiculous costumes and these masks, and they perform. They sing contemporary songs in front of an audience. And as they get voted off the show, they take the mask off and they reveal their identity. And so I felt like this type of show, because of its format, with being an elimination based reality show, it
Mm-hmm.
was well suited for the concept of creating these digital collectible trading cards of each of the contestants. And so
There's 16, is there? Am I right?
yeah, there are a total of 16. And originally it's things happened so fast when it did, because originally the show was about to premiere, and I had started creating. It was just basically just like a dummy, like a sample DigiAsset. And I
Yep.
think I picked the flamingo. I was working on the video to make the GIF, and looking at the YouTube links that were available at the time. And was even talking to some people at work about it who were more familiar with the show and how it was, formatted. And then the show premiered, and I was on Twitter, and I'm pretty much a crypto Twitter type person. I don't really deal with a lot of other things besides, blockchain and crypto stuff. But I noticed that it was, on the little side there on the panel, it says, like the list, like top trending topics.
Right.
And The Masked Singer was one of them. And I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. And I was looking into it some more and saw that, the Gamer Ninja was the first one to be eliminated. And I thought, well, and to be honest, I didn't even know who this guy was, but he has like 4 million followers on Twitter and
hugely
24
popular
million subs. So somebody knows who he is, right? And so I thought, well, instead of just, creating this sample DigiAsset just to show to some people at work, why not just create one for real?
Yep.
And just put it out there and just give it away for free. And, maybe, of course, I tagged Ninja on Twitter, him being a gamer, there's, maybe a little overlap between gaming and blockchain.
Yeah.
Course,
it's a technical, you're on your computer and stuff.
Right. So, well, maybe if he sees this and likes it, he retweets it, or he even responds and says, hey, hook me up with one, or hey, yeah. And then boom, right. And then that's, a hit from, a marketing perspective. So I thought, well, maybe, we could do this. And, I thought it'd be a really interesting way to connect, this thing we do with blockchain to a, something that, pop culture, something that's just like, everyone's aware of The Masked Singer, as opposed to like, well, how many people have heard of the DigiByte blockchain? So if you can connect the two in a way, and I, and that being said, okay, none of the celebrities that I tagged in any of my tweets have responded back saying, yes, I want one, or even a retweet, which is fine. I still, and I didn't tweet a whole lot about it. I mean, I think there's probably like 24 tweets total for for the whole run.
Yeah.
And there's reasons for that, which we can get into later if you want. But the point is, I already forgot my point. So in terms of just ingraining it into the public consciousness, I don't know if it's really been done in a way that has such longevity, because it's going to last forever, right? Or it's going to be around as long as the internet is around, right? These things that we
Which
create.
Which is hopefully going to be forever. Like, I mean,
well,
really hope it doesn't get shut off. I use it a lot. I like it.
Yeah. It's hard to get by without it. I get really bored quickly if that were the case. But, you look at similar situations. For example, the show, what is it? The Chuck Lorre show with all the super nerds, the Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
They mentioned Bitcoin.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes a couple of years ago, right? And, everyone goes nuts for 5 minutes and loves it. But at the same time, that's nothing more than just a line of dialogue in a show that, it comes and goes. Sure, people would see it in repeats, but, these things are things that will continue to be there and continue to be, shared with people. And I still have a bunch to, again, and there's reasons why I've decided to give them away for free, mainly because since I work here at Fox, I don't want to raise any questions of impropriety, right? And
no conflict of interest and dealing with the side
conflict
there.
of interest, and there, again, I wanted this to be just a marketing experiment from both ends, both on just the blockchain side of, hey, let's promote DigiAssets, and then the other side of, hey, this is a cool new way to promote Fox content.
Yeah.
And plus, they're not standardized. I was doing a lot of testing with bit rates and sample rates and frame rates and all this, the nerdy stuff with
the
when
video
it comes to
itself and the formats, your containers and
your codecs and your containers, and as you know, I there's issues and but and I'll be honest, a lot of it's just because I'm just not that familiar with the MP4 container. It's a wonky little beast, and anytime we deal with it here, my first question to the person, I was like, well, what else you got? Because it's really highly compressed. and it's not, what we call broadcast quality, something you put on, a 50-inch TV and say, oh, well, that looks good, right? But I mean, when it comes to, your device, it's ideal because it's small and it can be, it plays well in almost all devices.
Yeah, well, so just a little bit of background for some people as well. When we first kind of got DigiAssets out, originally it was, in the wallet implementations, was purely static photos. And there was nothing else. Shortly thereafter, though, there was an apparent need for animated GIFs. And so we decided, we were like, okay, cool, it's not just going to be like a picture that's just like a JPEG or a PNG. We need to actually animate these. And so our first animated GIF that was given out to a whole bunch of people was that. It was, I think it was a rocket ship or something like that. Very, very...
My first
like,
DigiAsset. I've got a few of those.
Yeah, like cheesy as hell, right? Like really cheesy. But also very cool because it isn't like you're saying, it's animated. And then from there, Mike was actually quite instrumental in pushing and saying, well, what if we actually had video? He said, I want some sound to go along with this. Can we implement it into the wallet so that it behaves kind of like this? And so it was the combination of both having Mike working with these DigiAssets and effectively pushing the boundaries inside of the Android wallet. This is now something we're implementing into iOS and the likes as well. So again, thank you to you especially for pushing everything forward in that aspect. But that's a nice little bit of history there for people about how quickly that's obviously evolved in the last, what are we, like 3 or 4 months now, maybe?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it was that's a game changer because when we talk about video, because I like the animated GIF. I like that it loops for one, and also like that it plays while it's in its minimized state, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah, with the video. And when you say video, and you mentioned sound, that's what's really key because the sound is what draws you in, right? When you're watching something, you're not, you're seeing it and you're kind of processing what you're seeing, but the sound is what dictates how you feel about it. If there's an A minor music, tone, it sounds kind of spooky and, or if there's a deep bass rumble, it sets off something primal in your brain, like, oh, is that a T-Rex about to come up behind me,
right?
So this is why, so that's why having audio is such a key feature of DigiAssets currently, and going back to the original assets, those, because the first 5 had the GIF, and from then on they all had an MP4 embedded within the asset itself, or that's probably not the wrong terminology because it's not part of, because it still links to Imgur, right? And that's how it plays it. Right? So, but the data is what's embedded within the asset.
Yep.
So yeah, going back to the launch of the Masked Singer collection, again, originally it was just the one, and then I quickly realized that they actually eliminated 2 people in the premiere episode. The second was Johnny Weir, the Olympic ice figure skater. And so I made another one of him, and and then I started showing it to people at work, and it's been again, things are ongoing, so I don't want to say too much in some respects, and I want to choose my language very carefully. But
sure.
But overall response has been very positive, and I will say this: that the initial hurdle I ran into was overcome by virtue of DigiByte being an open source project, right?
That's cool.
I mean, and when I say hurdle, I mean like the wall was brought down there, like, dude, this conversation's over, no more. In fact, they even said, there was a point where they're like, stop doing this, right? Don't make any more and don't send any more out. And, after some further discussions, it was like, well, why? And they're like, oh, well, because of, A, B, and C. And I'm like, well, A, B, and C don't apply. This is X, Y, and Z. And they're like, well, explain what X, Y, and Z means. And I'm like, okay, well, open source technology means all these things that, and maybe that's something that we within the blockchain space, particularly with DigiByte, need to push forward more, because maybe people just don't understand that it's not something you have to license. There's no patents. There's no one to contract with. It's just a thing. It's like a utility. It's like electricity.
The permissionless nature is
permissionless. Yeah. So, once I'm like, hey, just imagine, if this is caveman times, I'm from the tribe on the other side of the hill, I come in peace. Look at this thing. We call it the wheel.
Yep.
And it's round, and we can put things on top, and it helps us, makes life easier, right? And
I love it.
so yeah, once things are, the wall was lifted after that point. So and the other thing too is that it's just, there's timing involved too, because of course Fox has the Super Bowl this year, which
Yep.
is a big deal, at least, of course, here for American television. It's, the biggest media event here in the United States every year. And
Yeah,
because
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, obviously, you hear about it in New Zealand, I'm sure, right?
Yep.
I mean, what it is. So
we get it even in this far little corner of the globe over here.
Yeah.
We know it's big, right? Like,
you know what the Super Bowl is, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
so that's kind of, the point of the main focus for most people here. So it's, once that kind of, then I think there'll be more space. People can like more receptive, like, okay, well, let's talk more about this new thing. But also even just with, other observations. In fact, I showed it to this one lady who she's the one I was speaking to about the original sample I was going to create for the flamingo. And I showed her to Ninja, and, after she stopped by my desk, and I was like, hey, come check this out. And I'm explaining it to her as I'm showing it to her, right? And I'm like, oh, this is an animated GIF on Imgur.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at me and says, Imgur. And gives me this look like, really, Mike Aldy, you're going to waste my time with effing Imgur? But then I tapped on the asset, and it opened up, right?
Yep.
And she saw all the data, all the links. And she's like, oh, well, that's neat. She knew right away the power behind something like this.
Yeah.
Where you could just have all this information embedded within this tight little digital package.
Yep. Yep.
And there's nothing else like it that can do what a thing like DigiAssets can do. And that's why I'm so excited for it. Just by what it's a real game changer for our industry, and it's something new that, because there's really, honestly, there's not a lot going on besides, oh, well, let's do 2K video now, and now 4K, and
right.
There's 8K.
It's the latest and greatest thing, and yeah.
And you're like, well, are you really going to broadcast in 8K? Is the human eye capable of seeing that much detail?
The next Olympics are going to be broadcast in 8K, but only to certain areas of, like, I don't even think it's over the air. I think it's purely like digital and yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
I know what you mean, right? Like.
Yeah. So it's and yeah. So it's, and this is as far as it comes to the distribution of content.
Yeah.
It just takes it to a new element that is just, because you can monetize the asset itself, right? You can just put in all this information, and at the very bottom just say, this is brought to you by McDonald's.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you can have content within the asset that is, unique. And so that adds value to it. You can put links into the asset that takes you to exclusive content that is only available through that asset. That could also be sponsored by McDonald's.
Well, yeah. And especially, like, even the actual asset itself, this was something that I've been thinking about specifically in terms of, like, trading cards and collectibles, which is very similar to what you've done with The Masked Singer. There's 16 of them in total. I think I actually have all 16. I've been trying to, like, keep in touch with you and collect them, like collect them all, kind of like you're getting your Pokemon, right? Like, I want to collect them all. Some of the other ways that sort of thing could be monetized and that could be beneficial for, like, a media company, for example, or like a sports team even. Sell one of the assets. So you can get, let's say there's 14 of them that you happen to get for free throughout the screening of The Masked Singer. They could then sell one of them directly from the website, $4.99, and you get your, a limited edition. This one, there's only 500 instead of 1,000. So we've got options like that. Or even still, while it is screening on TV, there's like a QR code that appears down, like, in the corner of your screen, and you've got to scan that QR code, and you go there and you redeem it, but it's only valid for like 24 hours while it's like being broadcast, right? Like something along those lines. There's so many different ways that you could do this and create this kind of like a fervor almost about them, and about how they like the limited edition nature of them, the collectibles. Like we used to have X-Men cards and basketball cards and things like that, or at least I did when I was younger. I'm sure you probably did too.
Yeah.
The trading cards.
Sure. Yeah. But the physical cards, people say, oh, well, that's real. I can hold that. But of course, there's a lot of limitations to those as well. You got one picture typically on the front, or a series of smaller pictures, right? I mean, it's only so much you can do there. And then, some stats on the back for that season or for their career. And that's it. And
it's usually just that season even, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So, but man, I really like that idea about the putting a QR code up like during the middle of the broadcast, because it's
go here and redeem it
because this what's adds so much value to it, because with television it was always about viewers, right? The total number of viewers, what are their demographics? We want viewers, therefore we can go to the sponsors, the advertisers, say we've had X number of millions of people watch our programming, pay us X number of dollars to air your spot, whatever. So, but what's happened recently, in the last couple of decades, especially with the advent of video on demand and social media, there's been a shift from to engagement and brand awareness. So it's not just about the viewers. They want the viewers to engage with the content. So if you can like come to the Fox website, engage. Here's your reward. Give us your wallet address. We'll send you whatever. It could be a collectible trading card. And again, you can, if you hold that asset in your wallet, right? I mean, you can program it to receive future assets.
Yep.
Such as, again, it can be another promotional asset that just says, hey, here's the McRib is back at McDonald's, and you take this asset into McDonald's, scan the QR code, send it in, and then you get the code for free French fries.
Yep.
But you just paid full price for the McRib. Yeah. And by the way, it's an all new Simpsons tonight at 8/7 Central. So every few weeks or whatever, these tokens appear in your wallet simply because you hold the asset that is promoted by the company that's sending you the future assets. And if you decide to trade that asset to someone else, then they start getting those assets.
Or it doesn't just specifically, one of the interesting things is it's not specifically that it even has to be limited to like a trading card scenario. So let's say, for example, you are... One of the cool things I suppose that you could do, let's say, for example, we take a basketball season, and you go through and you collect every single one of them. You've even gone and paid $4.99 for that one from like the NBA website, for example. And you were there at one of their games, and you scanned something like up on the Jumbotron, and so you got that special limited edition one that you could only get if you were there as well. So you've got like the whole team, including the manager, and the special edition one that they potentially airdropped or something when you were there at the game, and it's like a thank you. Like, you've got the whole lot. What they could then do is they could then even send like the people who have the whole set an additional asset, which is like, hey, come along, like, here's a free ticket to the first game or something. Like, thank you so much for collecting everything. Here's like a nice reward. Here's a benefit for you being so dedicated. Or you could do like airtime. Like, you could do a one-on-one session with one of the players, for example, like 5 minutes or something with your favorite player, because you collected the whole set. So you get 5 minutes with LeBron James or something, right? Like, because you've got that set. How freaking cool would that be? Like, what an incentive. That kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I mean, from a marketing point of view, I mean, there's unlimited things you could do with, a thing like DigiAssets. We talked before about, be able to link to exclusive content, such as a table read by the cast of a show. If you're like a fan of a show, and you're like, oh, you get a behind the scenes peek that only you, because you hold this asset in your wallet, have access to. And it's just as simple as just you open up the wallet, click on the link, and then maybe through DigiID or something to confirm that way that only you, because you hold that asset, have access to this exclusive content.
Yep.
And if you at some point you trade or sell this asset to someone else, then now they have access to that exclusive content.
So if we were to do something, say, like along the lines of the Simpsons, for example, it could be like a message from the voice actor of Bart Simpson, and she's basically saying, "It's so great, thank you for supporting us." And sure, maybe some people want to collect that, or maybe some people then want to pass that on to somebody else over time and go, you know what? I'll trade you this message from the voice actor of Bart Simpson. You can have her, and I want to receive this other, like, Super Bowl touchdown, something along those lines, right? Like, and so you get this almost a secondary marketplace being established just on the DigiAssets themselves. Like, that kind of, I think it's amazing, the implications and the possibilities.
Right, because now you can create an entire digital ecosystem where not only are the fans and the viewers engaging with us and our content and our sponsors, but also now they're engaging with each other.
Yep.
Using our content. And that's something that, you can't do that with a tweet. I mean, sure, you can forward it or retweet it, but it's not even, it's not even close. And even, as far as, when you look at events, for example, the DigiAsset I did for the Litecoin Summit,
yep,
which was essentially, at its core was an industry convention.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think that one's the one that maybe holds the world record for text and within a DigiAsset. I think it's around 20,000
I think you hold
characters.
that record, yeah.
I think, okay, I don't think, okay.
Just claim
but,
it.
So, right, this was an idea I kind of had worked out together with Finji's on Twitter, Zero Risk, Zero Reward, and Red Cat Life. They both went to the Litecoin Summit, and I was like, hey man, what do you think about it? He was like, yeah man, that'd be a great idea. So what we did was basically just created a DigiAsset around the event, and it has all the links to all the YouTube clips, interviews.
Yep.
We got all the speakers and all their contact info, all the sponsors, all their websites. There's a bunch of tweets with, just the community, pictures and videos, and all the newspaper articles around it. And, I know it's become the single, definitive repository of information about that event.
Yeah.
Like nowhere else does all this information exist together. And I think there's a lot of power behind something like that, because if you take an event like Comic-Con, for example, like depending on what level of ticket you get, a month after the event is over, you receive in your wallet this asset that it's a compilation of everything at the event, because it can provide you with a bird's eye view. A lot of times when you attend an event, you're just like, you're just kind of in the weeds, right? And maybe a lot of times you just don't see the big picture of it, or maybe you just simply like, oh well, I wanted to go check out this booth, but it was like on the other side of the thing, and I had to go over here, whatever. So
you got to pick and choose your times wisely, because there's only so many hours in a day.
Right, or I wanted to see this guy speak. Well, now you've got this asset that has a link to that person speaking, or and so it doesn't matter that you didn't see them in person. You have access to the video, whether it's on YouTube or maybe it's just again more exclusive content that only it's on the Comic-Con site, and you need special permission to access it. But it was really neat, because I remember originally, we didn't know what the limit was for characters, and actually I think the question first arose when I was creating the asset for the Washington Nationals when they won the World Series, because that was probably about half as much. I think it was like around 10,000 characters, but it was still, because I think 4,000 was the original limit that we thought.
I'm just quickly popping these up like on the side here so that people can see them as we're talking, just covering my face here. So, yeah.
Oh, you got, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, cool. So, so I guess I don't see it, but maybe what you guys are looking at is just some screen capture video I took of the assets.
Yep.
And
from the Washington Nationals here.
Okay, so yeah, so again, this was something. Again, it's an opportunity, and this is what I love about DigiAssets, is that I think it's a fun and unique way to introduce people to blockchain technology.
Yep.
Who aren't in a place yet mentally to accept it as, they're like, oh, cryptocurrency, bad, not having it, don't talk to me anymore about it, right? Oh, but you're a fan of the Washington Nationals. Well, how about this?
Yeah.
And by the way, that video, that's like a custom edited video, and I know it's not like the greatest thing in the world. I mean, it's not a lot.
It's still cool though, right? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, it's a proof of concept. I mean, I'm just giving away for free just to show people, like, hey, this is what's possible. Because that video only exists inside that asset. You cannot see that highlight clip anywhere else, in the world. And the other thing, and I discovered this by accident. I don't know what point in the video it is, but I know it's in there. There's an emoji. I didn't know DigiAssets could support emojis.
Yeah.
But it was a copy and paste from a YouTube link, and it got past me on when I was proofing it, and I just wrongfully assumed it would just come out across as gibberish, but there it is. It's in there. So I'm curious if that's something that's set like on the blockchain level, or is that just like the device interpreting what's encoded
stored in the metadata? Yeah.
So I guess it probably depends on if the device supports the emoji itself. I don't know.
Yeah, different levels of devices and their operating systems will support different levels of emojis. Certain ones like a smiley will be in there, but the new ones where I think it's like a certain hamburgers and things like that.
Yeah. So
the joys of
that was
pushing the boundaries yet again for DigiAssets. Take a bow. Take a bow.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a happy accident, and I going back to the Masked Singer, because I know that they being the Masked Singer account on Twitter used a lot of emojis in their tweets, and so I figured, well, let me just do that too, and I try to strike a balance in pushing them on Twitter. I never tagged them or Fox directly, again, because or jump into any of their threads and say, hey, people, check this out. I just don't want to be too much of a pest. But I hashtagged the hell out of it. And like I said, I know that a lot of those tweets got a lot of, I want to say probably, I need to go back and look at each one individually, but I'd say 200,000 impressions.
Whew.
Maybe
it's pretty solid. Like, that's a decent amount of impressions for like.
Yeah, and it's funny because, again, and a lot of times
that's
I didn't even.
200,000 people, right? Like.
I guess I don't know. I'm not sure how it works. But it's got the the little metric thing you can check, and it just says impressions, and you're like, okay, well this one got 50,000. Don't know how or what, but okay. So it could be just a Twitter glitch too. So who knows? But I'll take it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing too is like I mentioned before, there was a point where I was advised to kind of pump the brakes.
Yep.
And after I had further conversations, I was like, well, where are we with that? And they allowed me to continue on. And I think that's not insignificant, because they could have very easily said, well, hey, we think it's cool you did it. Thanks for showing initiative, and good on you, but we prefer you not do this.
But they said go for it.
Yeah, because of course, I value my job. I'm not going to say, well, screw you, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, we love DigiByte, but maybe not that much that you're going to go get fired.
I'm not going to follow my sword that far. So so they were like, just keep doing it, and
that's cool.
And Fox has a long history of being the first in many things, and even though these aren't officially Fox sanctioned whatever, hey, I work here and I did them for Fox.
You got given the okay,
Fox show. Yeah, they had my permission too to say, we claim that we did it first, because they did, even though it wasn't like it was just kind of the guy on the
Still,
side.
because nobody up in senior management signed off on it and spent like tens of millions of dollars on it. Does that
Well,
make it any
to
more
that
or less
extent.
legitimate?
Right, and this is where, and I think people are paying attention to it though, from the side. Again, there's a
Yeah.
lot of other parties going on at the moment, but I think it's something that definitely got a lot of people's attention, because they
So
know they look at something like this, and if we show it to them, they see the power behind it, and it, unfortunately, a lot of them are on iPhone, so they didn't. You can't quite give them the full experience of
I've
let
been
me
waiting.
give
I'm
you one of
so
these.
excited for it. It's
I'm
coming.
just like, oh, you're just like right there, and you're like, oh, you've got an iPhone. Yeah, so that's coming soon. I'll let you know when it's out.
Yep.
But
We need it.
I did get I did get a couple people to download it anyway, and so they're ready. And I even sent them some DigiBytes. Say, hey, well,
Right.
you got
Cool.
your first DigiByte, so at least they're ready for it.
So for those who are watching, who like depending on when this airs, like we may or may not obviously have it out by then. Fingers crossed. Like it is being actively worked on. Stay tuned. It is unfortunate, obviously, that it is Android specific at the moment, and obviously we're well aware that is something that is preventing a larger, broader adoption base. It's never coming to Windows Phone though, so don't get your hopes up about that. But yeah, in terms of like, so what are your thoughts for, let's say, for example, specifically as a media company on further ways that they could utilize this? But also, say, for example, around, like you've mentioned, the Super Bowl coming up. What are your thoughts around the way that DigiAssets could be used both on a formal as well as, like, an informal level?
Oh,
To throw you
gosh,
completely under the bus here. Just...
yeah, no. Well, to be honest, I'm just, well, I think there's no limit to what you could do with it. I'm not. I don't work with sports, and I'm not in that world, so I don't even really look at it from that angle. But I mean, again, something like like what we did with the World Series DigiAsset. You can create a unique clip. Say, for example, like the game-winning touchdown.
Right.
Maybe it's just that, but it's like the game-winning touchdown from like 46 different angles. That only something that
Yes.
only Fox, who broadcasts that game, has access to. I don't know,
Right.
something like that. Something that could just give it like real uniqueness. Of course, because with these highlights, I mean, they're contractually obligated to share it with everybody. Like the ESPN and NBC Sports, they all get access to the same, feed source material. So, but all those 42 different angles, only Fox has that, and the super slow-mo and all that sort of thing.
Right.
It's just a thought. Of course, you can just do a custom edited highlight clip and just make it really stand out.
Do you think collectibles are a great use for DigiAssets in this kind of a vein, or?
Well, for something like that, for sure, and that's kind of surprised me that poll that I believe his name was Eric Hinchman did on Twitter a few weeks ago, where he was like, "Hey, so what are people's thoughts? Like, do you like?" I think he had the Masked Singer, and collectibles one category, and then Lenny's SC Farm assets, and then I think it was Matthew's mining assets. And I was like, oh man, there's no. Why would you put those? Because I look at it like those type of assets, the mining assets, and those pay you money. Of course, people are going to like those more than just a collectible about some silly singing competition. And but it was interesting to see how the voting played out. I mean, it's pretty even across the board. So I guess people do like it, and so there is a market for it. And I think if you can do it in a way that gets people involved and want to market for that. As far as the Masked Singers themselves, for the first 7 contestants, I created 1,000 of each one, and that's a pretty arbitrary number, really. It just sounded like, okay, not too many, not too few.
Sure.
again, going into this, my goal is to, spread them out with as many people as possible. I even pondered the idea of making like 10,000, but then I'm like, do I really want to send out,
And
10,000
send
individual? Yeah, it's
you
because
kiss
that
goodbye to your
has
next
been,
week. You're just sitting there the whole time.
right.
Just,
Yeah, and so it's that's not much fun. It's fun for a little, then it gets old. But I know there's systems are being built and coming online that will help facilitate the distribution of assets, whether it's just like upload CSV file and like send one to all.
yep.
Another cool feature is to kind of do that in reverse, where you have a single address, but you've got like the whole collection, all 16 cards, and I want to send one to this one address. So that'd be a very useful thing to be able to do instead of again doing it's one at a time.
Yep.
But anyway, going back to the total supply. So once the seventh contestant was eliminated, from then on it was like 900, 800, 700
Nice.
to the very last one. There's only 100. There's only 100 Wayne Brady's as Fox
Yep.
that will ever exist of that DigiAsset. So of course, by virtue of limited supply, then you're adding value to those specifically.
Yep.
And of course, that doesn't include any inadvertent burns that happen along the way. I know there's the wallet does kind of give that display at the bottom, the rolling count, and
Yep.
like, oh, there's not 1,000 of those anymore. There's
Yep. Someone got rid of one on accident.
oops, oh, that was not a. But again, that's proof of concept, marketing experiment. You're giving away for free.
But I think we were talking a little bit about this beforehand, the ownership and the fact that it is yours and it's mine and I've got it and it's my asset, it's my card, it's my video. There is something to be said about that and the value that brings to people. And say for example, like I've not watched a complete episode of The Masked Singer from start to finish. But I've seen clips of them, I've seen bits and pieces, and once I'm kind of, I'm halfway there along, like at 7, 8 of them, and I'm going, I've got to get the rest of these. Like, if Mike starts asking for, 1,000 DigiByte to get the last of them, then damn it, I'm gonna get the whole lot of them, and I'm gonna have that whole set, and I'll and then eventually, after a while, no doubt, we'll be hanging out with friends or something, and I'll say something, and be like, hey, look, I've got the game-winning touchdown DigiAsset here from the Super Bowl, something along, that kind of thing, and I can see that being you managed to get the winning shot from that NBA game,
right,
that kind of thing, or you managed to collect all 16 of the Masked Singer assets, similar to back in the day, you'd show your friends, look, I've got all 151 Pokemon, and that kind of
right,
thing.
Yeah, and there was a time I was like, gosh, do I really want to do the whole season? And I decided, let's do it. Let's go for it, see what happens. And I'm so glad I did, because it was a tremendous experience, learning wise. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do it. Not just, Fox let me do it, but also just, and I've talked about this in the past, just, this is where the value of volunteering for an open source public blockchain like
Right.
DigiByte is. Where else would I have that opportunity to do something like this? So, and the thing is, when you do all 16, now you've got a collection, and any collector will tell you that adds value to all of them, right?
Yep.
If you just do one, well, it's one of one. If you do a collection, now it's one of 4, it's one of 10, it's one of 16, and now people want the whole collection. So yeah, there's definitely value added in that. And it's funny too, I remember when I first started giving away the Ninja Masked Singer, it showed up on DigiBroker within a couple of days, and it was an insane amount of money. I went, what? You're asking what? I'm flattered that someone found that kind of value.
It was a few bucks or something, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was a few dollars worth or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, like 60 or 70 bucks at the time.
Jesus.
And again, and thank you to whoever put that on there to sell. I don't think it's sold yet, and I hope it doesn't, because please don't buy it yet. Again, I've got them, and I'm still giving them away for free. I haven't, just.
But it's that secondary marketplace, though, right?
Right, and so that's the thing. It's like, let me give them all away, or at least, I mean, I want to keep a few of them for myself, for various reasons, and saving for people, and also, I haven't given away 50% of any single card yet, and I think if I reach that point and the iOS update hasn't come out yet, I might just lock it, like freeze it, and just say, well, let me just hold the rest for those who are still waiting for the iOS update. Even though I know technically people can receive it,
it's not quite the same, and yeah,
you don't get to experience it, right? You don't see the video, you don't get to open it up, but you can receive the asset, and it is in your wallet, and it's safe.
Yep.
Waiting for that update. So, but I know a lot of people might just be like, well, I'm just going to wait.
Yep.
Just because I don't want to.
Yeah, a lot of people have been just waiting.
Yeah, and I've got I've got a list of people that have reached out to me, both here at work and also it's online, who are waiting for the update, and I'll send it to them. But back to the original point of when you can build in that kind of scarcity and add that kind of value on top of all the other elements that add value to this thing. It's just, again, like I said, I mean, it's just, there's nothing else like it, where you can just have this tight little package of all this information, of all this data. It's just so powerful from a marketing point of view. And I see it, evolving to the point where, it's layered or tiered, where you can step into it and
the whole experience in the wallet, you mean?
Right. Yeah. When you instead, because right now it's kind of just like a wall of text. If you can have like markers or like a table of contents, you just tap on it, and it takes you to it. And I say all these things that that can be done with the wallet. And I'm not saying like, hey, Noah, get to work. The point is, again, it's open source. And again, and this is what people here at Fox love, is that it is open source, and that you can take that code on GitHub and download it and create your own custom branded app.
Yep.
Fox can make their own Fox digital asset application. It doesn't have to say anything at all about DigiAssets or DigiByte. Of course, you might need to have like a little counter in the bottom corner or something. It just shows your balance.
Yeah.
Say, because of course you need a little bit just if you want to send it. You don't need it if you want to receive it. And just hold it. And that's huge, because I mean, it's all about, as I said before, it's viewers, engagement, and brand awareness. So I mean, it's just all over the place, right? If you can just put your brand on everything you do. I mean, if you look at the Fox Now app, I mean, that's all it is.
Yep.
I mean, everything we do just has, and it's a lot of times it's really subtle. You don't even like see it till you step back and you're like, oh, oh, wow. I mean, there's a real science behind it too, and it's fascinating.
They could do that though. There's nothing preventing them from white labeling the entire wallet solution, completely kind of overhauling the original like front. What would you call it? Like a sign up, an initial walkthrough, and specifically just throwing you straight at the app and going here. And then they allow people to back up their keys in a different way or something along those lines, and maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to work through. I know we make it sound a lot easier than it is. Like, oh, we'll just download the code and you're good to go. I mean, it would definitely be a process involved on many levels to integrate something like this. I mean, that's why people might look at it and say, oh, well, you did it and nothing happened. It's like, no, well, these things don't happen overnight, of course.
Sure, of course.
And if they do, they tend not to end very well. So it's, like I said, things are ongoing. And I know the thing is, a couple of weeks after I started making these, I actually saw a tweet from the Masked Singer where they literally had, it was just a GIF, but it was like a playing card. It was like the flamingo as like the Queen of Hearts. and it just kind of did a little move and thing. But I'm like, oh, it's like they're literally trying to create a digital trading card
But they
through a
just
tweet.
can't from within Twitter. They need
It's
DigiAssets.
not the same. Yeah.
No.
So
So what's
yeah.
next for you, I suppose, then? What are your thoughts about where to from here? Maybe either as like a Fox employee or potentially just with DigiAssets in general. Where do you think it could go?
I'm sorry. Could you say just for me for
Yeah,
what I'm
like maybe
doing?
for yourself. Do you have anything that you want to make next, or where do you think would be
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got a few others kind of in the pipeline. Um, Mainly just for promotional purposes. I know there's that one that I think you and I were working on it a few months ago, and then uh, as a way to promote the platform within the industry. And I finally did reach out to those people and got a good response. And then, but of course, it was also let's talk after the holidays. So I'll follow up with them next week on that. And then there's also I had started working on a Star Trek themed DigiAsset, and
nice?
it's funny because I was actually kind of placed. I'm like, I'm almost done with this as far as like editing for the video. At the time, I thought it was back when it was just the GIF, and then the support for video came along. I'm like, oh well, now I've got to re-edit the whole thing and
Sorry about
make a few
that.
changes. No, it's okay. But no, really, it's one of those things that I've had to back burner it because again, all the a lot of the other assets I've made they felt very time sensitive. Trying
Yes,
to
like each week with them coming out.
right, with the Masked Singer, it was weird because it was just so on and off. It was hard to get into a rhythm because again, I did like the first two, and then I was told to pump the brakes, so I kind of fell behind. But then I got caught up, and then it got preempted by baseball for a couple of weeks. But then again, that was kind of cool too because now again, when I'm replying to tweets of people, saying, hey, your asset has been sent, I could also include things like, and, catching all new The Masked Singer, hashtag that as well, returns after hashtag the World Series, so now
Right.
people,
Yep.
so now you've got DigiAssets that's kind of popping up alongside the World Series.
Yep.
And then it shows up again once I release the DigiAsset for when the Nationals won the World Series. And again, that was another one that felt kind of timely because I can't remember exactly when it was over, but I had to edit that clip and put all the data together. And because that's not something you want to release in March. No one cares.
No.
It's like
It is.
you gotta
It is
strike
timely.
the-
It is a time specific, sensitive kind of.
Yeah. So so I've had to bounce around a lot of things. I've got other projects that I've been floundering for months that maybe I'll get back to eventually. But again, too, with going back to the Masked Singer, towards the end, I was already 2 contestants behind, and then I realized like oh my God, it's on tonight. They're going to eliminate 1. It's on again tomorrow night. You're going to eliminate 2 more. Then the finale is next week, and they eliminate the rest. And so I got to cram out, 8 assets within, like 10 days worth of time, right before Christmas too, right? So it was a crazy.
They came
couple
out
weeks.
pretty hot and fast.
Pretty hard and fast, and those last 3 especially. I tell you, I ended up for the last 3, I made a total of 7 assets, and had to burn some. So I was just making just stupid mistakes on them, or it's just like a typo, and I'm like, no, that's not right, and sometimes it's the formatting just looks kind of off, or the other thing too that bugs me is when you copy and paste the URL from a web browser, it'll add that extra like backslash at the end
Yep.
that you don't really need. I don't know. It's just one of my pet peeves. I'm like, let me delete that. And the way I do, I always create everything in just a Word document first, and kind of get everything formatted right and looking good, and what I think is spaced well. Then I copy and paste it into your site to make it. And it's funny that there's this weird psychological thing that happens when you're making an asset, because there's this leading up to it, there's just this apprehension, it's like, oh, are there any typos? Am all my links good? I got my total supply of what I want. Is my wallet correct? Did I get my Imgur video and JPEG and all that good? And then when you hit create asset, it like flips to this weird like anticipation of like, okay, it's coming, and just like seconds away, you're gonna ding in your wallet and you're gonna see it and you're gonna open it up and it's just gonna, you're just like, cool, like, wow, all right, I just made that and now I've got it,
Limited supply. Well, so if you were to give, it's like, let's say for example, if you were to give some advice to somebody who'd never created an asset like that before and they were thinking about it or thinking about different ideas, what sort of things would you say to them?
Well, I guess to start, just start with something, especially if it's something unique, if you got a hobby and you're like, I love fishing, and then maybe just have an asset with all these resources that relate to fishing, where maybe it's like a specific fish that you love to fish or specific places, you just include like, and that's what's so cool about this thing is that you can just put as much information into these things as you want, right? I mean, it's limitless. So you can just, put links to whether it's, YouTube videos, links to websites, or just copy and paste text within the asset itself. As far as creating content, for the asset, whether it's, a still image or a GIF or an MP4, just try to make it a part of you. It's something that stands out. I know there's
how many words was the Litecoin Summit one though?
It was 20,000 characters.
20,000 characters.
20,000. Yes.
Right. So nobody's allowed to go more than that because Mike holds the record right now. So.
No, that's my challenge. I want you to beat it, and I want you to just crush it. Like but it's got to be, just not a bunch of random bullshit, right? I mean, make it for something. Have it, centered around something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I strongly encourage people to go out and try it, and whether it's something you're able to do on your own. I'm not one of those people. Therefore, I go to Josiah's site. I know you guys are making some upgrades to some things
Probably
there.
make it a bit easier to do some sending out to a lot of people, like you say, from a CSV file, an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely a plus to
save you a bunch of time.
Yeah. So it's I think just go ahead and create it, and again, it's a great way to introduce this thing to people with it who otherwise might not be inclined about it. I mean, the fact that you can show it to them is there's power in that. I mean, you look at, of course, the power of television. It's a moving image with sound, and now you've got your app that can play a video with sound, and then you can, again, like I told you, that lady I work with, and she's like, oh, Imgur, whatever, like no big deal. But then you tap into it, and you can show all the links to all these other, websites, videos, you name it. I mean,
and build that interaction and that responsiveness from users.
Right. Yeah. So, and again, so maybe, you're trying to talk to your uncle about Bitcoin or DigiByte, and they're just like, no, not having it. It's like, oh, but you love to fish. Check out what I made on the DigiByte blockchain about your favorite fish. Right.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Show
them the utility, right? Like,
right. I mean, and because it's fun, and I wouldn't even really consider that a utility DigiAsset. I mean, as far as I look at it, something like the mining, or the ones that have payouts, the ones that do things, right? I mean, this is more for, again, it's marketing, promotion, distributing content, promoting of content, and linking information, creating a single source of information that links to everything about this thing. But there's certainly value in that. It may not do much more than what it is, which is just a repository of data for anything you want it to be. Whether it's, a TV show, an actor, singer, an event. We talked about Comic-Con and Litecoin Summit, or even a car. I mean, just it's anything, right? I mean, it can, it can be anything. That's what's so cool about them, So I'm excited to see what other people are able to do. I hope maybe people see when you look at the Masked Singer collection and be like, oh, well, I could do that for my kids, basketball team, and I can introduce blockchain to all my kids, parents
Big
at
or
school,
small,
friends in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right, and it can, because it can be those things. So I'm really excited to see what comes of that, and I'm also more excited to see who we can get, whether it be Fox or any of these companies that have the resources to go to GitHub, download that code, hire developers to say, okay, make it do this, and put our branding on it, and and really just make this app and this platform just do what it can.
I love it. I think that's very inspirational, and in fact, that's potentially a good place for us to wrap this up on, though. I really want to thank you so much, Mike, for coming on and sharing this wealth of knowledge with us and these insider insights into what's been going on there. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Definitely.
If people want to find out more about you and get in touch with you, or do you have any further closing remarks you'd like to add? And
yeah, I'll give them my info in just a sec. But one thing I do want to tell people about Imgur, I'm not an expert, but if you want to upload an MP4, don't do it through your account page, right? Or the page that shows all of your pictures or your GIFs. You got to go to the main page and click new post and upload through that.
Yep.
And then check the box that says, hey, do you want to upload audio with this? And check yes.
Yep.
And then it'll upload the video with your audio. If you do it through your My Images page, it won't do it.
Pro tips right there from the man himself.
So definitely, do it through there. And then, as far as my contact info, best way to find me, I guess, just on Twitter at DigiBSoCal. And if you guys are interested in more Masked Singer assets, just hit me up on Twitter and let me know what you need. I do have pretty much all of them still available to a certain extent. Like I said,
for a limited time now only.
For a limited time only, yes. But again, my intention is to give almost all of these away. Going to give them all away for free, and then just let the secondary market do what it does. I've got season 3 coming up in a few weeks. So I've got some ideas kind of spinning around on not just future DigiAssets, but and also other ways to promote the platform.
I love it.
And also we've got another reality show coming up called Lego Masters, hosted by Will Arnett. So I've got it. That's another DigiAsset I have in the pipeline, not just promoting the premiere, but also, I don't know, I haven't seen the show yet myself. I don't know if there's a way to create, again, it's an elimination-based reality show. So there could be something there. Of course, something with the Masked Singer, there's, you can link to people singing, right? They're singing a song and it's interesting and you want to watch that. Whereas, okay, you're going to link to someone, building Legos. I don't know.
Might not be quite the same impact, right?
Not quite the same, but we'll see.
Add the bassy music and
yeah, it's all about the music, right? That's what pulls them in. So you put in a good soundtrack and people watch anything. Thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and let people know. About my experience working with DigiAssets, and I strongly encourage people to check it out and utilize it for what it can be, and it can be anything you want it to be, and that's what's so awesome about it. So and also thank you to all your help as well. For those that don't know, Josiah was a huge help behind the scenes, getting these things made. Like I said, there's a lot of hiccups along the way, and you were always there to help me get them through. So
Absolute pleasure, man. I'm glad we could be there, and thank you so much for making them. This has been so good to see. Like you said, like you've got that list, you've got the 16 of them. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for all of your time, all of your input, and thank you for coming on today and sharing your experiences.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This has been DigiByte and Friends with Mike Aldy. You can reach him on Twitter at DGBSoCal. Otherwise, we'll talk to you in the next one. Cheers.